Danny on the beat, boy.
I'm about to change my intro, give me another stiff one because somebody caught one today. Welcome to another episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Eddie Arnell, my man G with Mr. J. Lou. What's going on, fellas? Tighten up.
Baby.
Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up, man. Week 4, guys. The season is really flying by so far, man. So week 4, the Titans come in limping. After a beatdown last week to the Browns at Cleveland, 27-3. Of course, a lot of questions throughout the week, fellas, on the offensive side of the ball, particularly the offensive line. Is Dillard going to be able to hold up? You know, Tannehill making questionable decisions. Henry's touches that he's not getting. You got a secondary with a DB that's giving up a perfect QB rating, which is unheard of. And then you're facing a Bengals team that's kind of struggling, but kind of got right back on the right track last week by beating the Rams. You know, Joe's is struggling with a calf injury, and you know things are not the way the Bengals are used to. Plus, Joe Cool is undefeated versus Vrabel. Results, man, 27-3. The Titans rout the Bengals at home, and a great day for a football game. Great atmosphere in front of the home crowd. 3 things that stood out. Jay Lou, I'm gonna start with you this week, man. 3 things that stood out to you after your initial reaction to this win for the Titans today.
Excuse me. So 3 things. First, I'll go with coaching. We've talked on this on the show basically last month that we questioned some of the coaching changes during the game, adjustments rather, halftime adjustments that we did, the lack of that we see the Titans make. And I think today, when you take away the first drive on defense, the team, I guess Shane Bowen woke up and realized, as me and you were texting back, that seat might have been getting warmer. And I ain't talking about the temperature out there, but that seat might have been getting warmer. And he realized, when you got a sitting duck back there, let me just rush and play some man. And we saw today the Titans DBs did what we thought they were capable of doing. When you have a bunch of DBs who prioritize playing man, but you want to put them in zone all the time, we've seen them look lost. Today, I thought that was the best that our DBs have looked in a while. Now, they gave up some, you're going to give up some plays. It's the NFL. But I thought the best thing I saw today, if you think about it, Chase scored on a touchdown last year when he caught a quick pass and went right around Fulton. It was gone. The same play happened twice today, and he was put right into the ground. Right. So I think that's the first thing, just seeing the defense adjustment. My second thing would be Tim Kelly finally found the play action playbook. It was
hidden.
If he was playing Madden, Eddie, they would have timed him out because he ran 7 play actions in a row. So I think he finally realized he realized what a running game can do for play action. And the Bengals were confused. And I also like the wrinkle. You know, I've been waiting to see, and I look at the waiver wire and stuff all week, and we chat back and forth. They haven't added no running backs since Chestnut went down. No, you're only riding with Derrick Henry and Spears. I can't count how many times you saw both of them on the field today in packages that just had them confused. So that's my second thing. And then the third thing, and this one is just, us having the luxury of being there. I thought the crowd was more into the game than I would have thought. I mean, being a Titan fan and going to the game, we know how these fans can be when you see a loss. And yes, it was
especially like last week.
Yes, we see a loss like last week. You can find a way to make a quick buck because from Cincinnati or Kentucky, where most of these fans are from, it's not that much to come down and watch the Bengals. So you had a lot more orange in there than we'd had for the Chargers game. But I thought the energy from the fans, you really felt the team feed off that. So kudos to the actual home field advantage today. But those would be my 3 takeaways: the offensive adjustment, the defensive adjustment, and then just the crowd atmosphere.
G-Wit.
Well, this time I got something to say. So.
Well, go ahead, man. Tell us what you got in your mind.
No. In all seriousness, I will say this. In defense of all that we talk about, I would say that it seems like the team, the coaching staff, actually looked at a review of this show, because everything we have been talking about was implemented today. I said they were going to have to do something different in order to start winning. You saw that today. A lot more play action, as J. Lou alluded to. When you talk about, I rewatched the game and they said 7, play action plays. All of them went for over 20 yards. I'm like, we've been talking about this the whole off season, preseason, everything, and they finally did it. Then thirdly, I would say, Eddie, they finally listened to you and started blitzing the linebackers up the middle. I mean, you got to sit and duck there. Why not blitz them up the middle? And that took place, and really that affected the game a lot more than people realize, because it forced them to go to a quick passing game, and you saw the tackling was better on that quick passing game. The reads were a lot quicker, and so they held them to minimal yards. And I think the one thing we both were talking about in the stands was the fact that, on that last drive in the fourth quarter, when they kept moving the ball, they were running or throwing across the middle and everything, they were making tackles. No one cared, because they were using up all the clock. Because really, when you come out after halftime and you mount a 10.5-minute drive, you, for all practical purposes, already up 21. You put yourself in position to kick a field goal. The game's won.
Yeah.
It's hard. As prolific as offenses are, generally you're not going to give up 4 scores inside of a quarter. Generally, right. I'm not saying it won't happen,
right?
But generally, it's not going to happen, especially if a defense is playing good the whole game. And our defense was playing, with the exception of that first drive. And even on that first drive, when they got down into the red zone, they, for lack of a better phrase, no pun intended, they tightened up. Monty Hooker almost had a pick 6.
Oh.
I know he's gonna go back and look at the film and how did I miss it?
Hit it right now.
But overall, man, it was good to see the King rolling. Yes. You could tell he was running with a purpose. Tajay Spears was running with a purpose. The play where he dropped the ball, picked it up, turned it into a 30-yard play. Hey, and Tannehill gets away with a block in the back. You got to give all props to him on that, man. I mean, seriously, this was all around a good team. The only play I would say that got on my nerves was Tannehill throwing that interception. It just didn't make sense.
He had flashbacks to the playoff game.
Yeah,
in the same way.
He did. So I appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Dion's in the building. Darius, what's up, man? Mariah Wells is on here tonight too.
Right.
And Dion says, get rid of the empty backfield, man. Put it on the shelf. Hey, you're right, man. But so some of the things that stood out to me, fellas, we talked about this last week in depth about the physicality in the trenches.
Yeah.
Wanted to get that back because we felt like we all agreed that Cincinnati came in here last year and kind of punked us on our own field. And, man, we saw today, Big Jeff was eating. He was pushing the lineman back into Joe Burrow's face. The run game was there. And I'm going to tell you what, man, we talked about this too. For as much as Andre Dillard struggles pass blocking, that cat can get out and run and block, man.
Yeah, he's good when you put him in motion on them ends, man.
Yep.
Yes, he is good out there on that edge. And I'm going to give him his props today because he kind of withstood some good stuff today. Yeah. They gave up 3 sacks. You can count one of them, maybe even 2 of them on Tannehill because he held the ball. Me and G. Witt was counting. He at least had 2 seconds on one of the sacks to throw the ball, and he didn't. And so kudos to the offensive line, man, bringing it together and getting it back. Again, we saw it. We talked about this against the Chargers a couple weeks ago. We saw what this offense should look like, or we expected, right? You had the King with 22 carries a day. You had Spears about 5 carries and some touches in the pass game. Tannehill with 25 pass attempts. That's what his offense is most effective, running play action, like you guys have mentioned, like 7 in a row. I was telling Grow, I said, man, look at these plays. I said, run it again. And they kept running it because they were getting chunks of yardage down the field. And let me give a shout out to, man, D-Hop. Do not cover that man without no help. Because he is a beast. They couldn't cover him. I told G, I said, G, he finna go right here. And that long.
Yeah, that long. He called that one.
And cook that DB.
Quiet as it's kept. Number 11, his name just slipped. Chris Moore.
Chris Moore,
They couldn't cover him either. He
Nah.
was Tannehill just missed looking at him several times,
Oh.
but he was open all game.
So let's go ahead and give him his props, man. I mean, we know he had his struggles in preseason, but man, has he became a great free agent signing to this point?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He is, outside of Hop, he is the next most reliable. Now, NWI, man, say what you will about him again.
Catch the ball.
Hey,
All he do is catch the ball.
Receiver number 3, he's doing his job. He's back in his comfort zone. And you see him, he's open a lot more. And I think having Chris Moore out there as the number 2 and D Hop as number 1, you saw, Tannehill had options. The one thing I would say that I thought they did a better job of in this game, also sorry to jump in there, Eddie, but
no, go ahead.
A lot more quick passes on obvious passing downs. 3-step, get the ball out. I was like,
yep.
We've been saying it all season, man. You're good enough for a 10-yard route.
He listened to me.
Yeah.
How many, like last week we mentioned we wasn't seeing Tim Kelly's offense. When you go back and look at the Texans, it was built on slants, 5-yard slants.
Yep.
I seen several of them today that we needed 3rd and 5, D-Hop 3rd and 6 is what he catches.
Yeah.
that's what he's money. Those type of routes.
Yes.
Right. Will, I appreciate you joining us. Now he said the D-Hop stumble on that one play.
Yeah.
So Tannehill, I thought it was a great pass.
It was.
I just think he dropped it. I just think he missed it. I mean,
so it happened going in the north in front of me.
Yeah.
If D-Hop doesn't stumble, it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he stumbled too late in the route. If he stumbles early, he stumbled later as the ball was almost getting there. And again, just we've seen him up close with his hands when we was in practice. I still thought he was gonna catch it.
I did too.
Man, that was a great again. Tim Kelly pulling out the bag of tricks, right? Something to get your offense going, to get it out of the neutral position that it's been in over the past few weeks. And so, again, I was telling J. Lou, man, I said, we can't get off 27 points.
Man,
27
that's our number.
And then we just shut it down after that, man. Get some more points on the board. Hey, Virgil, thank you for joining us, man. He said Chaklin was better, man. You right. Yeah. Chaklin was a whole lot better tonight. So let's dive into this offense a little bit more. When we talked about play action, I will also say we had some good design run concepts, G-Wit, man. So tell me a little bit more about this offense as we look at some more individual performers today in this big win.
Well, first thing you got to look at in the offense, you really got to look at the offensive line, man. I thought the one thing we do know about this offensive line, Quaz is kept, they are a fairly decent run blocking offensive line. The thing you like about them and what you saw today more than anything else is that I was noticing when I was rewatching the game, on a lot of those play actions, they were shifting Tannehill away from Dillon. So that gave him a little extra time as far as trying to see the field and everything. And you could just see that happening. But I thought they did a good job getting everybody involved. Chig stepped up today. I thought he did a good job both blocking and catching the ball.
Yes, caught the ball today.
I thought Wiley did a good job blocking.
I'm going to say, G, we give a shout out to your boy Wiley, man.
Wiley did a good job blocking. Like I said, when I rewatched the game, man, you can see a little bit more. And I thought he did it pretty good. I thought UT Martin did a good job on blocking. He didn't. He was the one receiving that aerial on that interception, but at least he made the tackle. And that's what you want to see. You got to give kudos to NWI. He prevented an interception by getting a pass interference penalty. I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to do that. Let your punter do the rest of it. But overall, man, I thought Tim Kelly called a great game. He got in a rhythm. Like you said earlier, we were kind of a little ticked off about the run plays and everything, but obviously Derrick Henry was running with a purpose. You could see that from the get-go. I mean, he wasn't settling for getting tackled in the backfield. He was like, you may hit me in the backfield, but I'm still going for a yard or two. Kept his legs driving and everything. And I thought, again, Tajay Spears did the same thing, was good in pass pro. I'm still trying to figure out what that unsportsmanlike conduct, that unnecessary roughness penalty on that pass from Tannehill in the third quarter. I can't figure that one out yet. It was on 23, who Tajay Spears was blocking, so I don't know what he did.
Yeah, he 23 ripped off Tajay Spears' helmet.
We couldn't see it.
No, he was because Tajay again. That was on. They were going towards the south, and it was close on that end. And Tajay was when he was coming to the sideline. He didn't have his helmet. He had to go pick it up. So
I remember he didn't have his helmet on.
No,
so
it was more than hands to the face.
Yeah. But overall,
hey man.
But overall, like I said, I thought Tim Kelly got in a good rhythm. You saw, like you said, finally woke up with the play action, and you saw how well it can work. So, hopefully this is the trend. This starts a trend of them recognizing what they can do, because once he started play action, that made the running game open a little bit more. So, it all works together, but you got to understand who your quarterback is. He's not a drop back passer. Play action all the way, and he can shift them over a little bit. I mean, he got to the point to where he was actually playing football. The ball got snapped over his head. Instead of him trying to pick it up and do something with it, he just fell on it like, okay, I just curl up and let him touch it. All of a sudden you see him starting to make football plays instead of, thinking too much. So I give kudos to the offense. I thought they did a pretty good job, and they helped Dylan a lot on that side and everything. I even saw Brewer get out there one time and help him out and everything. So I just thought offensively they did a good job on the line, helping out and everything. And then the run blocking I thought was good as well.
Yeah, and you gotta give a shout out, man, again to Tim Kelly and the coaching this week. Let me get a few, man. I got Joe, man. He said, "How about Big Jeff on offense, man?" I thought they was gonna throw the ball to Big Jeff. He probably scored.
I thought they were gonna hand it off to him.
Chris McKinley, man, appreciate you joining us, man. Tighten up, man. That's my boy Chris, man. We played a tech together. And Deion actually said that earlier, G, with what you mentioned about Tim Kelly finally realizing that Ryan Tannehill's bread and butter is play action.
Right.
And that gets him more comfortable in the game. But Jay Luke, go ahead, man. Talk about this offense. 400 yards of offense, man, this week. Man, what a turnaround from last week.
Yeah, man. Again, I thought you saw for as much as we've talked about, and again, you were being nice. I put all 3 sacks on Tannehill because if you look at one of them, Derek D-Hop had they had an exchange coming off the field where D-Hop was telling them, just throw the ball. Let me make the chance. And I think Tannehill's he's still so afraid of having a turnover that I think that's what's causing some of these sacks. But I thought he played well and he was in his element running play. I mean, he outplayed Joe Burrow, stats or not. He outplayed him a little bit. I thought that I'm curious to see this weekend practice. You get 2 young offensive linemen back. Peter should be able to practice this week, and
Kyle Phillips
is back, maybe, and you get NPF back. And I think as good as the offensive line played today, I still think you can possibly see some changes.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to have because they, like I said, I thought they played well today. I'm going to give kudos to my guy, Dylan. Dylan has been hearing it all. He's part of that J-Rob draft that was terrible. He had been out of football, we started to see him, the toughness and the nasty offensive line attitude switch before he got injured last year. And outside of the little bogus penalty he had today, I thought he played very well. Same thing with Dillard. Outside of the bogus man down the field that they called on him, I thought I was Cincinnati at one point in time had an offensive lineman 8 yards down the field and never got a flag. But we're not going to talk about that. But I thought you saw a prime example of having a different running back than the King. What that does, we was talking amongst the folks that sitting in my section. Derrick Henry, you see the DBs, and just go back and watch the game. You see the DBs and even the linebackers. To G Witt's point, they make business decisions. The problem is you make them business decisions so much during the day that when Spears gets in there, he's so small you forget to tackle him. So it's a good 1-2 punch that they got. Spears is the real deal. And he is and finally we got somebody who can run between the tackles. I mean, his cutting and getting out and getting through holes. I mean, it's amazing. So I think him and the King really feed off each other. But it was good to see the different type of just not regular, north-south running. We actually was running some zone schemes that fit your athletic offensive lineman, and in the play action, I thought we had a toss sweep. Toss sweeps had a shotgun at that.
Right.
Toss sweeps had a shotgun. But I thought that the receiving core looked much better than we give them credit for. Because I mean, and again, we've always talked about they struggle getting open, etc. I think you saw some of that change today with the route concepts that we were running. We didn't have everybody going downfield. We had some crossing patterns, but overall, Tim Kelly, he's just got to be consistent. But he was in his bag today.
Yeah, he was in his bag, and again, like I said, 400 yards of offense for this team today, man. 8 of 13 on third down, 2 for 4 in the red zone. Man, time of possession 34, almost 35 minutes, and like you said, that drive opening up the second half. Although they only got 3 points, man, but you ate up the whole quarter, and the Bengals don't touch the ball till under 5 minutes in the second half for their first possession, man. But so great, kudos to the team, kudos to Mike Vrabel and his coaching staff. Looking at themselves in the mirror, man, and taking that hard look and reflecting on that garbage they put out last week, because I mean that's unacceptable for an NFL team to not be able to score more than 3 points and to play the way that they played in that game. And so let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball, man, because you know, I text you, Jay Lou, during the game. I even told Grover, I said, maybe Shane Bowen's seat needs to get a little hot because he's running this soft coverage. I mean, all the way down the field, they get zone. Now, granted, they held him because why? They start going man coverage. Then all of a sudden, you see Shazier, you see Hooker. I mean, he brought Byron and Shazier on one blitz.
Yes.
So, Jay Lou, man, talk about the defense, man.
Man, I was ready. Like after the first drive, even though they gave up only 3, I was like, "Oh, this is about to be a long day," because we were playing the typical. We're afraid of Joe Burrow, and we finna let his skill position players eat us alive. And then the next drive, I came out and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's man with just one safety," and you ran it the entire time. And again, kudos to I give the cornerbacks their props. I felt like you saw them in a position this week where it fit their skill set. As much grief as we give Christian Fulton, this was probably one of his better games he played.
No
I
doubt.
thought this was one of Rodgers' better games, and you saw him trailing. I mean, you even saw them in man press coverage when it was a known stack screen formation. You had one of them up and the other one back. So I thought that was good. The only thing I'll say about defense, he's played phenomenal. I'm not going to take nothing away from Dr. Gibby. But Dr. Gibby's slow because that tight end and Joe Burrow should have hit that deep tight end pass where he overthought him. But you got to give Gibby his due for just making tackles and being there.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, And then I've said it since preseason. Algier is a heat-seeking missile.
I love Algier, man.
Dude, man, that's a great pickup. I felt like the defensive line, you can tell that this game was personal. That's why Big Jeff had a darn unsportsmanlike the first quarter.
During the timeout.
During the timeout.
In between the quarters. First and second quarter.
I'm sure the TV crowd was like, wait a minute, what did we miss? Vrabel had to talk him down because Big Jeff, but you saw that D-line eating. I thought it was good to see Gibson in there and get the strip sack. Big Tart. I think we were starting to sacrifice a little bit for the pass, and that's why we were gashing us at first. And then you saw the Titans literally just shift back to, you're not going to run the ball on us, and stopped both of them. So I thought, I'll be honest, I talked about in my things at work, we talked about the adjustments that we saw on the coaching staff. I really think because Joe Burrow has only been blitzed like 5-10%. He's one of the lower rated quarterbacks when you blitz him. I don't think the Bengals knew how to react to see him getting blitzed as much and that pressure, because that's not something he usually gets the ball out in 2 seconds. We talked about that last week. I thought we would have to see more of, matching hands to bat down passes. No, they was just bringing that heat. And then when they didn't blitz, it was still confusing enough to where the front four, Big Jeff made his sack. Grover, you went back and watched it. I ain't watched it yet. Yeah. But in person, it looked like Big Jeff made his sack while he was getting triple teamed.
He did.
Look, Look, that Joe Burrow took some shots today. I mean, they lit him up on that one right there, particularly what you talked about. Hey, but I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna pop it over. You do G-Whip. I think, Jay Lou, to your point, the confusion came in when they played more man and blitz. Because we normally don't do that. And so when they start, when Bowen switched it up on him like that, he had Joe holding that ball a little bit because the pressure was getting there. But G-Whip, man, I know. Go ahead, talk about it, because I know what you about to say, because we was up there talking about the whole game.
Now, I'll be honest with you. Like you said, first thing, kudos to Shane Bowen because he made the switch. because like I said, that first drive it drove me nuts. I'm like, you're playing too soft, man. You're playing too soft, you know, and you're just giving up 8-10 yards, you know, a pass.
Every second down, not to cut you off, every second down on that first drive was 2nd and 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you saw though, what happened is when he switched it up and started pressing and then started blitzing again with the middle linebackers and everything with Shazier and even bringing a safety with him as well. What you saw happen was Joe Burrow, his timing was thrown off because he was used to holding the ball and they were coming in and they were hitting him. And the adjustment they made, and they didn't make it to the second half, was when he got the ball, even in shotgun, it was like basically he took a 3-step drop, for lack of a better term, and got the ball out of there because they were trying to make sure he didn't get hit again, and he still was getting hit. Secondary played good. I would say this. Today we saw what happens when your front seven is eating and it gives your secondary time, because there was a couple of times, like you said, the one when he should have hit the tight end. One on one play on a drive, he had Chase wide open because they left him 1-on-1 with Fulton and he got past Fulton, but because the pass rush was on him so hard, he couldn't see it. Right. So, you know, that's the thing that you want to see on your defense. And Shane Bowen, I think for him, what he's got to realize, you got to quit being afraid of these doggone receivers, man. You know, one of the things I thought they did good schematically was that they generally kept Byard over the top wherever Chase was. So to make sure that at least he couldn't get deep on them. That's the thing they were trying to prevent. So I thought that was really good. And then they let Hooker cover the tight end and everything. So, and Shazier was making sure he was covering the back out of the backfield. So I was looking at that game. I was like, okay, you guys, again, I think they listened to our show because they finally it seemed like they just woke up and decided, okay, we need to do what they said and start doing the same things we've been talking about all season. All through the preseason, we was talking about it. So, you know, it was just good to see. But yeah, that defensive line, man, Jeff Simmons, I would say this, they made a mistake. They made a mistake when he got that unsportsmanlike conduct between quarters, because he was like, you saw him talking to Vrabel. And when he was talking to Vrabel, because the argument was between him and Mixon.
Yeah.
But he was talking to Vrabel. Vrabel was telling him what it's like. Vrabel said, look here, man, you can't do that. You just can't do that. We need you in this game. If you're going to get mad at him, take it out on him on the field. And all of a sudden, you just saw that whole defensive line to Nico Autry. Weaver was playing great.
Weaver made some plays.
Hey, our boy finally got in the game. Caleb Murphy.
Yes.
What about Gibson?
Gibson with the strip sack. I mean, that's when you see your team really playing some good football, and that's what we need to see. If they could have lost the game, but as long as they play good football, man, let's play good football. That was the problem last week. Last week they didn't play good football at all, but today you saw good football. They played competitive football, and that's really what you want to see. But defensively, they were eating. I mean, shut them out after that first drive. Shut them out. And I don't care how hurt Joe Burrow is, he hasn't been shut out like that.
No, because they just beat the Rams last week.
Yeah,
with a good defense. So you can't say that's not an excuse. I mean, he played last week, he played this week, and so that's what it is. And so Deion, I definitely agree with you, Deion. And we talked about this several times on this show that about week 4 you should start seeing stuff starting to jail because they haven't played any preseason football. Right. And so we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. I think that was Joe that said that, man, early on. It's gonna be interesting to see if they're gonna keep what they found today, if they're gonna take it into next week against the Colts. It said, what on earth did Mixon do to piss off? He was running his mouth.
He was chirping. Yeah, he was chirping.
So, Big Jeff, he's a notorious trash talker. If y'all didn't know that. We went to camp this year, man. Him and Arden Key, and I just can't imagine when they both start getting sacks the way they just. I mean, I'm sure they out there saying all kind of crazy stuff.
Yes,
but yeah, man. Shout out to this defense. Shout out to Bowen again. I just can't say it enough how pleased I was. And he ain't doing it for me, but I liked it because he was blitzing, and I love the blitz, and he played man coverage and backed it up. and did it often. And then, of course, at the end, let them run the ball, let them get those passes inbounds, eat that clock up. At that point, it don't even matter. Even with that, guys, they only gave up 211 yards of total offense, 139 passes, 72 rush, 209 on third down, a fumble, 3 sacks, and 0 for 1 in the red zone. Special teams, guys, you got to give a shout out to Mason Kinsley, man. He did a good job, averaged over 12 yards return. Folks, again, 2 for 2 on field goals, 53 yards. The old man still got some juice in that leg. And then, of course, Stonehouse, your boy, man, 2 punts inside the 20.
So, I hope folks that saw the game today realize that if he don't kick it to the end zone, it's because he's told not to do it.
That's true.
Because there was no wind in the stadium, maybe 2 miles an hour, if that. And he was putting them through the end zone. I don't think they returned the kickoff. Every kickoff went through the end zone.
Yeah.
Every kickoff.
Man, I tell you the one thing in rewatching the game, this is why you got a veteran. His technique on field goals is so cold.
Yes.
I mean, it's like there's no thought to it at all.
Nah.
Line up, boom.
And
he ain't even measuring it up or anything like that. He's like, line it up. I know where I'm going with it. And you can tell he's a 16-year vet because he just lines up and kicks it. The question is going to be, though, he's a 16-year vet. It's a 17-game season. That's the only thing you have to worry about. But, yeah, he knows how to kick the ball into the end zone. He did it today. Every kickoff was in the end zone. So, kudos to him. And, of course, Stonehouse is Stonehouse.
Stonehouse put woof. And that one near the end, was that Moore or whoever made the fumble?
Yeah.
I thought that was a perfect punt. And then you brought up Mason. I'm glad you did. Mason had one catch where I just knew he was going to drop it because I still have PTSD when I returners sometimes. But I thought he made the most of his opportunity on punt return. I mean, they kicked one 15 yards out of bounds, and I was more worried about him hitting the tent to catch that ball when he ran and caught that one. So now you see why he's hung around on the practice squad and taking advantage of his opportunity now to really impact special teams.
Yep.
So as we look at the AFC South, guys, everybody's at 2-2. Excuse me. Colts at 2-2. They of course they lose to the Rams today in overtime, 29-23. Anthony Richardson did play 11 of 25, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 sacks. They ran the ball a lot. He had 10 carries for 56 yards and a TD. They were down 23-0. It came back, fellas. So it's gonna be a tough game, division game. The Texans beat the Steelers today, 30-6. Kenny Pickett gets knocked out the game. The Jags beat the Falcons across the pond, 23-7. And of course, we won today as well. So 2-2 for everybody. Got our first division game on the horizon. G-Wit, man, against the Colts. Colts, like I said, Anthony Richardson came back today after being on. You got to kind of question that because, a couple weeks ago, J. Lou, I think we talked about last week, he was out for a concussion. Then he got another one last week. So now he's back in the protocol, and he's back again today. And so, G-Wit, first division game. Tell me how this game is going to be won, in your opinion.
Well, that's a good question, man. I mean, if we could run our offense the way we did today, because, again, one thing the Colts are doing more than anything else, their defense is playing well. So that's the thing you got to be careful about. I mean, Shaq Leonard is back. He's playing good. Of course, DeForest Buckner's still there. And they're doing pretty good. Offensively, man, again, we got to stop the run. Especially Anthony Richardson, because that's going to be the main key. He's going to run the ball. He's got a rocket arm, so you got to be ready for that as well. So I'm interested to see how Shane Bowen is going to run. Is he going to run press and blitz them and everything and make them uncomfortable, which is what I think he should do. He's a rookie. Make him as uncomfortable as possible, throw everything but the kitchen sink at him to make him have to think more and just confuse them. Don't be like the traditions of we're just going to play zone coverage and confuse them that way. That doesn't work with these rookie QBs. You have got to get pressure on them. You got to, and that's what Shane Bowen is going to have to do. He's got to get pressure on the defense. Again, offensively, we just got to, for lack of a better term, we got to repeat what we did today. Derrick Henry generally, for the most part, always has a good game against the Colts, even when they're at full strength. So, play action pass is going to have to be there. But I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be better than I thought it would at the beginning of the season. So I'm interested in looking forward to that one to see how it's going to turn out. But I think we can win, but we can't go back to doing what we was doing the first 3 games of the season.
Right. J. Lou, man, it's going to be a tough match, a tough ask for this offensive line. You got DeForest Buckner, man. You know he's one of the premier defensive tackles in the league. That front four that the Colts have: Quiddy Payne, Grover Stewart, Samson Ibukim, excuse me, came from the 49ers, and of course, G. Witt mentioned Shaq Leonard on the second line of the defenders, and so J. Lou, man, it's gonna be a tough ask for this offensive line.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for them. Again, that's why I'm curious to see, because this week you should be at the full strength of this offensive line. You got a break with the NFLPA and the NFL changing the gambling suspension, so you get NPF back sooner than you thought. And then again, like I said, from all accounts, Peter should practice and stuff and be closer to being back this week. So curious to see how you mix and match and what you do, if anything, on an offensive line. If anything, I would think you might see shorter leashes for players on the O-line this week, as opposed to what you've seen. I think we saw it a couple weeks ago when he took Xavier Newman out and Dylan went right in. Real quick, 3 plays in. So they're gonna have to do that. We know that team, that defensive line can get after the quarterback. Shaq Leonard's rounding back into his form. And G. Witt said it. Derrick Henry has historically had some good games here. I'd be interested to see again how we mix and match, because again, that speed element that Spears brings is a different thing that nobody who's played the Titans in the last 6 years has seen in running back. Just being honest. And again, it's the one that can run through the tackles. From the defensive side of the ball, we've got to stay disciplined. We haven't really faced, because I don't even really count Deshaun with the speed that we're going to see from Richardson. We haven't faced a mobile quarterback like this, and we have them back-to-back weeks, because after this week, we go see Lamar, the best of the best, in London. So really will be challenged the next couple of weeks for some containment. I mean, if anything, you flush them, you contain on the outside, and you want to flush them up the middle, and that's where you're strongest at on the D-line from that standpoint. Because, you might can run some spy, but then again, I think if you run spy, you're pulling Azier probably out of his position and not letting him really solidify being at that middle linebacker spot. Jonathan Taylor is eligible to be back this week. Don't know if he'll come off or not, but that's another weapon in the backfield for him. We know what he can do. So again, the defense, I agree with if he plays. I agree with G. Witt. You got to pressure him. We've historically seen us sit back and let rookies just pick us apart. But I think if you can get after him and get him to getting happy feet and show him some things he hasn't seen, you can get to him. Because again, when you start looking at skill players outside of Michael Pittman, they don't have no real burners or anything that just really put fear in. Today was probably the best until T. Higgins got hurt. And I don't think he played the second half, but today probably was the best set of skill players we will see majority of the year. I mean, they had some the Bengals had some dogs out there, receivers and stuff. So replicate that, but add on to it. You got to add a wrinkle or two into it. You got a good coach back there, and Doug Peterson, championship winning coach, who will have his rookie ready, and you've got to out coach him. And this is where Shane Bowen has to do that piece.
Yeah, Dion said they should play the coach like we played Cleveland last week and really confused him. Yeah, I agree. Said Stinson is the head coach for the coach. He came over from the Eagles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I said Doug Peterson. I'm in my Eagles guy because I'm thinking I know what he did with Jalen, so he can probably do the same thing with Richardson. So, gotcha.
I think it would be one right in the side of the ball. Can we beat if and move the ball on this stout front line? 4-3 defense. Seen them play this year. I don't know if they still have that cover 2 concept that they are notoriously known for. Again, it's a vision matchup. The Colts got something to prove this year. They say, hey, we're not gonna be in the bottom of the barrel, even though we got a quarterback. Be ready to face. And I like our chances today. So J. Lou, two things. We missed the kickoff today. We missed the game.
Well, I need you to quit coming to the kickoff then. Just miss them. Well, first of all, it was very disrespectful. And not too many times do you see NFL teams win the toss and take the ball. And the Bengals won. They actually won the toss today. So believe it or not, the Titans all 4 games this year have gotten the ball after halftime, but most of them we had won the toss. So it was weird seeing that. But yes, I need you to just the rest of the home games just miss the kickoff.
We appreciate y'all joining us tonight for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie on LG with J. Lou. 27-3 over the Bills.
Yeah.
This is the first quarter of the schedule. Get on the head. We did schedule on it.
Yes, sir. I'll be there representing with little J. Lou and Mama Lou. We'll be representing there. So hopefully I can bring us some luck up there and just don't worry. I'm sitting on the Titan side where I can yell at the coaching staff like I do at a home game.
Man, again, thank y'all for all the comments, all the questions, man, and the support of the show. Join us next week. And we'll see. We'll see. And I think what we see more because it's Anthony Richardson. I think we see more zone blitzes for confusion.
Yeah.
I don't know what
one
of the best games that Bowen had called. I think you see more of that, but we'll see. We'll see. It's the guess. But I'm a
Peace.